Hey everyone, Pessmore here and welcome to Stafford Case. The Chief, in his own special way, he held a place in my heart. In the past 2 years, I have never once granted him a personal favor. I wonder if that was from the start. Because of that, I don't have a single good memory with him, and for that I feel sorry for him. Indeed, even for a guy like Detective Brian to say such unkind things about the Chief, he was truly remarkable in that regard. Detective Brian, you alright? Indeed I am. After all, I was the one who found the body before. Also, he may have had an idea deep inside that he'd meet his end like this someday. I'm keeping you all waiting. Let's start the investigation. Yeah, we're counting on you. I had no idea the Silver Ball would be involved in another case. I also had no idea it was sitting right here when I came in yesterday. It was probably covered in cloth then, so you didn't see it for what it was. I see. That's probably why there are still prints. How about on that dried flower? The most recent prints were left by the Chief 10 days ago. The only ones besides that are the ones from the sergeant note from before. That's probably when we investigated it. If we had known you would be investigating too, we would have just looked from afar, not touched. There were no prints for us to erase though. After all, no one touched this recently. That's a relief. Also, I can see evidence of a box sitting on the shelf. I can see it was moved last night. That's probably the music box from the Miller residence. As expected, it was right here. The question is, where is it now? Close. When the Sarge checked this coat out, she said it hadn't been worn recently. But these shoes... I see they were worn just yesterday. What time was that? 8:30 p.m. 8:35 in the evening. The fingerprints are smudged, but I imagine they're probably the Chief's. Oh? If they were left at 8:35, that would be after we all met him. Let's make a note of that. It may work in our favor to have that information. Yes, ma'am. This painting is actually stuff that allows one to pass through walls, yes? That's right. I used it just now to check the other side and came back. Wait, what? I just used it to check the other side and come back. I can see that. Your face left a clear mark on it. Looks like something from a dream. Or maybe something that could fit in a modern art exhibit. Hey, what exactly are you seeing? I'll tell you later. Let's focus on the investigation for now. You were the one who weren't focusing. Is there any trace of the Chief using that painting? I have prints of the Chief pressing down on the painting of the jar. They're from 2 days ago. They may tell us something. Make a note of it. Okay, Floor. There are a number of footprints from the three of us around that chair. It's hard to tell our exact movements with how they all weave together, but the time they were made is clear. Sarge's are from 740, Thena's from 8, and mine from 8:10. That lines up with each statement. Whoa! Damn. As expected. Oh, dang, she really went zipping, huh? I can't get over that. You know, the only, visual novel game, or a game with this kinda, narrative layout or whatever, to have moving portraits that aren't weird as shit, just now, is Sonic Battle. And that's not even a visual novel, it's a fighting game with a story mode. More importantly, are there anyone else's footprints? Everything else was left by the chief. Not gonna make it easy for us. No, it may be easier than you think. What do you mean? There are footprints showing the chief leaving his office at 8:30. Then I see his footprints leading back in at 8:35. Are you sure? His stride is a bit weird, but I'm sure those are the chief's footprints. That is quite the clue. Shall we follow the prints? Good. We investigated all the sussy items. We found some useful trace evidence too. The chief's footprints are blah blah. After we all left are especially noteworthy. They take center stage in this case. So the chief was alive at 8:35 and I saw no other footprints entering the room. On top of that, none of us have a skill that allows us to kill from afar. This is clear proof from our innocence. By the way, this last set of footprints made by the chief, could they be... What was that? Was that really clapping? Or was it a different kind of clapping? Incredible. What are you doing appearing out of... What are you doing appearing out of the blue? You finally lose your marbles? You think this makes you look so cool, huh? You're pathetic. How about you stop there? You embarrassed him enough as it is. No. I truly think you all are incredible. How can you lot spout all that nonsense with such confidence? What? The last set of footprints left by the victim. You should be able to see how odd they are. What do you mean odd? Are you nitpicking again? Those footprints were clearly left by the chief. The stride may be off, but the shape is clearly... What do you think is the reason behind the odd shape? No. Are you trying to say the footprints weren't left by the chief? Eh? I hate to admit it, but Chief Meidan may not be nitpicking with this. It's possible that the footprints weren't made by the chief because of the evidence left at the scene. Oh wait, that was really it. At the scene of the crime, we have an extra set of clothes, right? There's no sign that the jacket was messed with, but there was trace left on the shoes last night. My skills told the same story. The only things with a memory of being touched recently were the shoes. Why exactly are we bringing this up all of a sudden? Why, you ask? Can't you use that imagination of yours? There's only one reason Detective Brian thought the footprints made at 8:35 belonged to the chief, because they looked like the chief's shoes. There's more trace from 8:35, the trace left on the shoes at the scene. However, it is possible that the footprints weren't made by the chief. What? The culprit could have worn those shoes, walked around and then left them there. The footprints leaving the room, those were probably made by the victim. But the criminal waiting outside to kill the victim, that person was already wearing the same shoes as him, prepared beforehand, of course, and then could have carried the victim back into the room. Meidan, you must really want to pin this on one of us. If it's like you say, and the footprints were made when the culprit entered the room at 8:35, where are the footprints leading out? The culprit could have just walked backward out of the room. That would explain the strange stride patterns you saw. I'm sorry, but if the culprit walked in such a strange way, I would be able to tell. I'm sure the footprints were made walking inward. Well then, the culprit must not have left. What? Maybe he hid in this room. Then after enough time has gone by, he pretended to discover the body. Aren't you the comedian? Then if anyone came in, he'd be done for. Like I said, he could hide. Isn't there a place in this room where a person could hide unseen? A place where a person wouldn't be seen. Is he talking about that particular place? Yeah, the painting place. Is it this? Yeah, it's that. The painting at the scene of the crime. Actually, a wrapping cloth. A staff that allows a person to transverse through a wall. There's space for a person to hide behind that. As Detective Thena discovered before, there's definitely space enough for a single person to hide away. Right. Then our culprit hid back there. Then after the body was left to decompose after a long enough period of time, the culprit pretended he was the first to discover the body. Then if someone were to have found the body before him, he could then wait until the person was gone and pretend he stumbled upon the body too. So the person who first found the body was probably... That'd be me. Heh, of course. Carrying such a large man would be an impossible task for anyone without Brian's large frame. What? You're speaking like Brian, surely the culprit or something. Don't just stand there, say something! What is it? It's clear that Detective Brian is the only person who could have pulled off a feat as you described it. So your logic must be incorrect. Pardon. This idea about the culprit trying to replicate the victim's footprints. If it really was Detective Brian and not someone else, such behavior would be rather bizarre. After all, Detective Brian has a certain something about him. He's gay. Nah, I'm just joking, I think. I mean, he might be, I don't know. Maybe he's by. I can see that, you know? It's thanks to this trace photo that we found out about the footprints left around 8:30. If we hadn't known about the planted footprints, our investigations would have gone the wrong direction. But this document was created using Detective Brian's skill. Thus, Detective Brian didn't need to falsify the footprints. He wouldn't have had to hide behind the painting. After all, it was his investigation that showed the footprints were planted. He wouldn't have needed to invent another set of footprints. All he had to do was lie and say the footprints at 8:30 were the ones coming in and out. Even if his own footprints were left at the scene of the crime, he could say that they were from before. Thus, your logic is dumb as hell. As expected, he cleared it up. Hey, come on, don't depend on him all the time. Then, why were you keeping your mouth shut before? I thought leaving it to note would be better than making up a bunch of excuses. Ugh! I mean, he has a point, you know? He invoked the fifth. Okay, it's not exactly the fifth because he's not a lawyer. He invoked the 5th.1? You're just confusing me! Though it is rather odd. Maidan. Or is it Maiden? I don't know. Medan? Medin. How the fuck do I pronounce this? Okay, whatever. Maiden. Nah, that sounds stupid. Okay, let's see. Maidan, didn't you say you had no interest in how this case ends? With all these statements casting doubt on the three of us, it seems clear you're doing nothing short of interfering with our investigation. Not bad, Brian. You finally used your head. You knew this would happen and fabricated the footprints to confuse us, huh? What? No. Didn't you hear what Note just said? I did. He basically said that if he was the culprit, the footprints mean nothing. He could just go back inside and kill the victim without all the tricks and... The hell is this word? With all the tricks and bullshit I spoke of, yes? But if Brian isn't the killer, it means someone else went into that room. And if that's the case, who's the other person? Cena? Redfins? If the trace photo is real, it means the culprit knew of Brian's skill. How many people besides the three of you know about that? The person left no trace and knew about the skills the Manor Affairs Division had in stock. Is there any other suspect who fills out all those boxes? If there isn't, the results of your investigation name you all the prime suspects once more. So doesn't that mean that none of what you've turned up can be trusted? We have no choice but to throw everything we know. Unfortunately, that's how this case ends. Why are you doing all this? Good question. We're in trouble. Is there really another suspect? Have we collected a single clue thus far that might tell us who that could be? And if we haven't, is there some place we haven't investigated? Somewhere hidden away? I've got to keep my cool. First things first, we need to clear up this crisis. Core. Something someone said struck a chord with me. I just have to show them the answer they're looking for. Okay. I hope that's the correct answer. That may be it. A place we haven't investigated yet. Really? Where? I don't know yet. I'm sure it exists. What's that supposed to mean? Give us a proper explanation. Why is there no one who explains things where you can understand them all at once? Hey, we figure it out as we go. That's how we roll. The note the sergeant restored contains information about the stuff the chief owned and displayed here. But that's not all that was written here. I see. There's a note about storing the paper in a secret safe. A secret safe? Then there might be a new clue in there. A clue? Do you really think that? There's no guarantee it's even in this room. No, the chief only believed in himself. He never hid anything where someone else could get their filthy paws on it. Besides, his note contained information on his staff. If you think about it in terms of convenience, there's a high likelihood he'd stored the list in the same place as the staff. Then speak up. Is there a place where he might have stored a safe? None of your data you collected points to a place like that. No, it may. Perhaps we were just a little confused. I should show him the clue that shows where he may have been hiding things. How cliché. But whatever, I guess. No matter how hard I think about it, there's clearly no better place to hide than something than behind that painting. But didn't Xena already investigate behind it? Right, and the place was completely empty. The painting is quite large, but didn't Detective Xena said it was so narrow that there was space only for one person? Then there's another space back there we haven't investigated? If you check the trace photo, you see there's some space between the chief's handprint and the trace Xena left earlier. So if we put our hand to where the chief touched and push... Good. I got something. That paper is the original of the paper Sartre restored, huh? As expected. This is the secret safe. The staff. Fuck. This is what 3M Gaming does. This is the secret staff. Safe the chief used. Great. I'll just skip that. None of that happened. I might need more sleep. Note, is there anything else in there? There are 2 file folders stashed here, huh? Stashed here! Looks like they're filled with documents. One looks like case files and the other... The Tetrapod Project? Oh yeah, I heard of it. There's gonna be more Staffer case games. Very good. The contents of the folder. Hold it! Give that here! Huh? Alright. It's genuine. The detective chief inspector was far more dangerous than I thought. That's enough of that. Now I can rest easy. Huh? What did you just do? That's evidence we just found! What does it look like I did? That was a classified document. Something that shouldn't have been here. So I got rid of it. You can't be serious. That was evidence! Any person who reads those files will be eliminated. Would you have been okay with that? How about you? Would you have been okay with that? Pardon? Whatever was written there, you were forced to hide it. Your actions prove that. The victim had that information, and you knew he had it beforehand. Chief Maidan, for the things you just said before, it sounds like you're quite familiar with Detective Brian's skill. Do you know about Detective Sina's and the Sergeant's skill as well? Then with all the boxes a person has to check to be a suspect, that would include you, right? Well, I guess so. No. What? Was it Maidan? We have footprints we think the culprit planted at the scene of the crime, but no prints leaving. Neither Detective Sina nor the sergeants could have pulled up something off like that. Chief Maidan, would you mind explaining your skill? I don't have one. I'm sorry. Note, Maidan's no staffer. The Bureau doesn't appoint staffers as chiefs. Shouldn't you have figured it out after working here 2 whole months? No need for snide remarks. Given our security clearance, isn't it a given for him to not know? Clearance. Does that word even mean anything to the child? Well, it's clear that he simply doesn't want to dig too deep. He doesn't want to get too closely in with one O. This is like the one typo in the game. I mean, it is better than the other game I played, you know, with a certain attorney of the arcane. He doesn't want to get too closely involved with the Bureau. Are you going to be a bystander forever? Stubbornly refusing to make a choice? Stop changing the subject. You've got the same charges leveled at you that you were throwing at our way. The same charges. You'd only be able to make them stick if you had evidence that I knew the victim that had the file. I didn't even know about his secret stash. If I knew beforehand I committed the crime, I would have taken those documents with me, no? I think it's safe to say Maidan didn't know the location of the chief's stash. Whatever. But if it is true we have nothing on him. No, but is it true we have nothing on him? Even if he doesn't know about the stash. There's a chance he knew the chief had the document. Of course, it's the notebook. Perhaps the chief told you about it? Look at how smug he is. Can't wait to see his face full of fear. Are you serious? My apologies, but he's normally serious in these cases. I'm always serious, bitch. The chief told you about the documents first. Then he held them over your head as a threat. You're just throwing claims out there. What are you basing this on? The chief left you a message on his notepad. I think he was still working on it. I can't be sure who the recipient was supposed to be, but it went something like this. Even if I were to vanish, don't let your guard down. I can always unveil the documents. The documents! The chief was threatening someone with the documents he had, and right when you laid eyes on the documents, the chief had hidden away. You burned them. Is it really so strange to think his letter had something to do with you? What documents are you referring to again? Shit. You little... Are you really gonna play dumb in this situation? All of this is because we saw you light those documents on fire. Indeed, and we refers to the 3 prime suspects and their colleague. Have you always been like this? I always focus on doing the best I can. You're right. Proving the existence of those documents is going to be difficult now. I give you that. But note, you said there was another folder hidden in there too, right? You said case files? Not gonna give this one to you, bitch. That's right. I haven't gotten a good look at them yet, but this looks like a medical record. Maybe a doctor's note? And is this a statement from Chief Maidan? What? What, you don't remember questioning him? Hold it! That statement! These documents, when were they written? They were all written for a case 2 years ago on October 20th. 2 years ago? October 20th? Of course. Damn. Why is everyone reacting like this? It's not just Chief Maidan, it's Thena and Brian too. Come to think of it, 2 years ago. Maidan, it looks like there's another file for you to burn, yeah? You know nothing. Sergeant, what the fuck happened 2 years ago? Seriously, do I have to explain it like this? Pandy, you don't exactly have to go into all the details. Detective Thena? No. Even without all this, I was going to explain it to him. Note, I want you to know. I'm going to explain everything, and I want you to listen very carefully. Shit. Because this was the case that changed my life. Okay then, damn. I'm back. Good work out there. I see you two finished early as well. Good work to you two. No. Work is money after all, so it's really the least I can do. Despite all our efforts, we only solved 1 case to your 5, Pandy. Don't flatter me. It'd be odd if I couldn't do at least that with all the memories I've read. It's hardly fair to say that all your hard work comes from your skill alone. Oh, hey John. So you should be honest with yourself and accept the compliments, Pandoria. After all, the active role you play is all thanks to you, being in the company of such a skilled investigator as myself. What on earth does all this... Where on earth does all this confidence come from? Just today you wasted all that time getting yourself stuck in a ventilation shaft. Oh, that's a new one. Okay. Please tell me it's gonna appear more often. This is the first time I'm seeing it, and I want more. I mean, what? True, but sometimes to get the complete truth, you have to take one step back to 2 forward. You know that, right? And the culprit almost escaping is 1 step. I guess we took 3 steps back for that one. But even such an amazing investigator can make mistakes. This is just a theory of mine. A game theory of mine. But what's more important than finding the right way immediately is the ability to turn around when you're on the wrong path. Again with your theories, though you do have a way with words. Still, sounds like a hard day at work, Johnny. Yeah, you got stuck in a ventilation shaft. He's a sussy baka. Or, you know, it's proof that he isn't a sussy baka, I guess? Why am I saying this? I'm sure the 2 of you had a rough day as well. If that's the case, is that it for the cases handed over to us? Looks that way. We finished quite early today. Great. As the Americans say, Theta, give me some skin. Oh, awesome! Hell yeah! Come on, you 2 Caucasus. Indeed. And Pandoria. No thanks. Somehow makes me look less intelligent. Touché. John Maidan. He was a detective who worked with us 3 years ago, back when the Mana Affairs Division was first formed. In the beginning it was just him and I. At first he was praised among those in the investigations department, but honestly his detective skills were only a bit better than Brian's, so I didn't think he was all that spectacular. His penetrative vision wasn't all that unique either. It helped during investigations, but compared to the skills everyone else had, it wasn't extremely useful. Still, he was oddly skilled when it came to leadership. Oh, is this the case the 2 of you solved today? What's wrong? Does something strike you as odd about it? No, you did good detective work, but about the victim's daughter, if you check her next of kin, it doesn't look like there'll be anyone left to look out for the girl. You're right. That fact bothered me too. There's this orphanage I know. You think I could recommend she be sent there? Of course it has no connection to the Bureau. Sounds like a plan. I'll have to ask her opinion on the matter, but she'll probably like the sound of it. Alrighty then. I'll get in contact with the orphanage. Why do you always give us more work? It's been a while since we finished this early. Sorry. I was born with this personality. Indeed, and it's a personality I'd love to emulate. Hey, careful. Nintendo might kill you for that. For some reason. Oh yeah, the magical E word. Where would that leave me then? Fine, I'll call the little girl. Thanks. I solved the cases. In fact, I can say with confidence that out of all the people I've met, no one could solve a case faster than me. But John always saw the people behind the cases. He always did what he thought was best. Without John, investigations would be no different than the other departments in the Bureau. He made our division what it is today. I, on the other hand... Sorry to butt in like this. Oh, hello. Been a while, Chief Inspector of Operations. Who's this now, Chief? Oh, who's this now, Chief? No. Is that really you, Thena? What's with that reaction? Sorry, to see such a playful grin on your face. I never would have imagined it after your time in probations. Fortunately, this division seems like a good fit. Yes, and I'm glad I followed your recommendation, Chief. Thank you. How long are you going to call me Chief? You've got a new chief now. I mean, the detective chief inspector doesn't do all that much, but I guess that makes you Bernard to me or something? Or Bernie? If you ever call me that, I'll kill you myself. Just call me Bedan. Bernard, I'm a Bedan too. Wouldn't that make things confusing? Doesn't everyone around here already call you Johnny? Well, you got me there. You've been stopping by quite a lot, huh? Here to see me? Not in your life, bitch. So don't even ask. I'm here on business. Brian. Me? Yes. It's about the matter we discussed before. If you just follow me to operations. Sarge, I'll be right back. Understood. I should be delivering that message about the orphanage. Call me if you need anything. John? What is it? Your name came out of a certain person's mouth. You should stop your digging. Yeah, thanks for the advice. I'll keep that in mind. I certainly hope so. Stubborn as an ass. What was he talking about? Pandoria. Haven't you ever gone curious about all this? I mean, what they do with the criminals we catch. What do you mean? We send them to the Bureau's detention facility, but we don't even know where that is. Do you remember the first criminal we ever caught? We brought him in for petty theft, right? Well, he was released recently, so I went and saw him. I asked him what his time in detention was like, but he wouldn't say a word. It wasn't that he was hiding it from me. It was more like he didn't have a single memory of his time in there. It's like he fell victim to a skill. Is there really a phenomena that wipes memories? That's at least an Einstein class threat level, and in certain cases, an Oppenheimer could do that. That's got to be something that would be capable of such a feat. If that's the case, I'm of the same opinion as your brother. You should stop digging into this. No good will come from us as staffers to getting too involved with the Bureau. Very sensible. But could I ask you one favor? No. Read my brother's memories. I said no. How about you listen to people when they talk to you? Pandoria, I want to help people. You're already doing that. You're right. I'm helping people who get caught up in the cases we investigate. But what about the criminals we catch? Are we really leading them down the correct path? And if we're not, they've brought it on themselves. That's true for most, but that's not everyone we bring in. There are others who were merely pushed out of society or meddled with things they shouldn't have. You know that, right? There may be others apart from us who help those who get caught up in these cases. But who's helping the people who already fell from grace? That might be something only we are capable of. If the people we bring in for corrections are treated unjustly, I have to know. Of course, You always have to know. Yet the finding out part is always my job. I'm sorry. I won't force your hand in this. It's your choice. My choice. Yeah, it is. You know what? Ever since my skill came to light, nothing in my life has ever been my choice. My whole life has been nothing but being dragged along by the people actually doing the choosing. It wasn't even my choice to become a sergeant. It should have been you, not me in this role. I just went along with your choice. With the slightest touch, I could find out any truth I wanted to, but I had no idea what truth I was supposed to find out. But unlike me from back then, I can help people and I've never been happier. It's all because I went along with your choice. So I guess that's nothing new. I'll do it. Thank you, partner. Damn, what the hell? What a painting. Alright. Bernard is in the meeting, so there's no one here. If we're going to do this, now's our chance. But why exactly am I reading the memories of the Chief Inspector of Operations? I've always asked him about this before. He's got the look of someone who knows something. Is it the dark circles under his eyes? Also, he started talking about the underground. He may have gotten an invitation to go down there. You should have told me that before. You should have told me before that this was related to the underground. Sorry. You wanna back out? Whatever. You've come this far. That's why you're my partner. What an absolute snake in the grass. Let's go set up. My brother should be back soon. Is this really okay? I'm pretty much betraying your flesh and blood. I mean, when it comes to Bernard, we've always been close, yet with a certain distance between us. We were separated as children since I was sent off to the Stafford training facility. Plus, he was always more interested in the public good than in family ties. So I'm totally fine with doing this much. Alright, let's be quick. Bernard Medan knows vaguely of what skill I carry. If I touch him, he's going to suspect me. I'm going to have to make up some sort of excuse for touching him. Please don't kiss or anything like that. That's gonna be weird as hell. I've got to touch a few things around his office to investigate. Then I can find a way to do this naturally. Okay then. Alright. Let's get started. Damn. An investigation. A memory survey within a memory. Damn. These are all of Bernard's jackets. He should organize them. Let's have a look. Oh. Out of all his jackets, he only touches this one. It seems he's only been using this thick jacket recently. It is quite cold for October. So if you've got to touch him, it might be good to use his coat. This is Bernard's folder. I always see him carrying it around when he has a job to do. Is that so? Let's see here. Is your brother seeing a doctor? I don't think so. At least I haven't heard anything about it. There's a doctor's note in this folder. Shall I read the memories from it? That's quite a... John, you really need to stop digging into this. You're about to open up the floodgates. Come on, floodgates? Really? What's this then? A note from your psychiatrist? What are you doing with that? You were treated by your bureau-approved psychiatrist, right? It's nothing private anymore. You don't need this paper to tell you that. Is that why you sought out treatment? Your compulsion is getting steadily worse. You care deeply for people you have no jurisdiction over. You should really be looking out for yourself. The Minor Affairs Division is doing all right now, though. That should be enough to satisfy you. I am satisfied with that. Actually, I'm more satisfied. No, actually, I'm more than satisfied. My colleagues are different from the people in operations. They're special. How should I put this? They're more like family to me. Yet I want to know more. The results of the work done on those people. I can't just stop. Even if it costs you your life. That's a given. John, you found me out. How much did you hear? Just a little. That's a relief. Tempers flared that day. Don't worry. Isn't that always the case with family? Then you heard everything. Yep, took one for the team. That kettle. We have one just like that in our office. It's even the same color, huh? Didn't Brian buy one for our office? Now that you mention it, my brother really liked the tea we served him when he dropped by our office. I would have brought him one if he asked, but to stoop so low. Let's see here. Ooh. Smells like black tea, just like the tea in our office. Seems like it's been getting steady use recently. We might be able to use that. Bernard should be coming up soon. Let's get everything ready. If we over-prepare though, he might get suspicious. It's better to just pick one item to use. So Pandoria, it's time to choose. Shit. Rip his folder? I mean, I don't think I should rip the folder, right? I hate making a choice. I hope this doesn't have negative repercussions. Coat. I'll name for the moment he puts on his coat. I can pretend I'm dusting off his jacket and make contact. Though I'm not sure if Medan knows I can read memories through clothes. He's coming. Wrong person? Sergeant? John? Huh? Caucasus? What are you doing here? I was just about to ask the same thing. What are you doing in operations? I have a meeting scheduled with the Chief of Operations, but he said he was going to be late finishing up another meeting, so I should wait in his office. Come to think of it, Bernard did stop by our office to look for Brian yesterday. I'm concerned regarding what this meeting might be about, but I don't have time to fixate on that now. I see. The two of you have business with the chief as well? Yeah, definitely not personal business. Yeah, we did have business to discuss with them, right, Pandoria? Sure. I'm wondering how that needless lie is going to come back to bite me in the butt. Then would you like a cup of tea while we wait? No thanks, I'll pass. Brian's likely to put a spanner in the works if he hangs about. What should we do? Okay. John, get him out of here. Huh? Ah, Brian. Come to think of it, I had something I wanted to tell you. About the case? About the orphanage. Our methods are more complicated than I thought, so I think you're going to need my help. Got some time? Yes, but now Don't worry, I'll let your chief know something's up. I'll leave you to it then. Good luck. Yeah. Sergeant Redfins? Hello, sir. That's a first, to be coming all this way to see me. Have you, perhaps seen Brian? He was called away on urgent business and said he'll be late. He sent me to pass along the message. That's a load of horse shit. Is that so? Were you going to make a cup of tea? Oh, please excuse that. It was so much like the one in our office I accidentally moved it. The kettle was a gift from Brian. I do like it, but I try not to let it show. That man can be rather burdensome at times. Indeed, but I do believe it not to be brown-nosing, but genuine compassion on his part. Of course, he is that sort. I love to stay and share a cup of tea, but I think my next meeting's gonna run long. I just come to pick up some documents and be off. Could you tell Brian to swing by again at 2? Of course. Thank you. I'll be seeing you then. Your coat. Won't you be needing it? My meeting's indoors. Though that should be rather obvious. Right. Obvious. Shit! Shit. I hope I didn't wake anyone up. Obvious indeed. Well, let's share a cup of tea next time. I've been meaning to ask regarding John. What? Oh man, they need to use more of these portraits, man. It's freaking adorable. What's obvious is that I screwed up. Maybe I had a better option. Okay. Thank you, game developers. But what is this? Because he didn't have time to, get the tea, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, it's indoors. What the fuck?" So ripping his folder. John said Bernard is always carrying this folder around. If we're going to mess with something, it should be this. If we rip the edge right here... He's coming! Ah, hello, Brian. Yeah, okay. Let me just skip this. I really want to choose this option and see what the hell happens, but at the same time, I don't have time to waste. John, get him out of here. Okay, yeah. Yep, orphanage, stuff. Okay. Yep. Sergeant Redfins? Hello, sir. Okay. Yep. Please excuse that. Okay, yep. I've just come to pick up some documents and be off. Tell Brian. Ah, bloody hell, I'm in too much of a rush. Let me help you clean this up. Thank you. all according to plan. Now I've just got to act like I'm picking these up and brush my hand against... Ooh. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? Oh man, this portrait looks like it's gonna be used only once. But what the hell happened? Didn't you say we were gonna help? What? Yeah, sorry. There's this urgent matter, and I just thought of a clue. I must be getting back. Of course, hard at work as always. Indeed. What the hell happened? What the hell happened? Damn it all. Couldn't I have thought of a better excuse? What happened in there? Why? Is it really human experimentation? Are they stealing candy from babies and small businesses? What's going on? I mean, I could have just left when Bernard left. However, if I stayed in that room... the documents in Bernard's memories, could they be real? What on earth? What's going on? What have I done? What on earth have I done? Pandoria, how did it go? You pull it off? I don't know how to cope with this truth, but for John... John, from this point on, I don't want you to say a word. I just want you to listen. Right now, I don't think I can do anything but tell you the complete and honest truth. Okay. And I mean all of us in the Amana Affairs Division, are part of some top-secret project. It's a tyrannical project run by none other than the head of the Bureau, Harmon Mond. It's all for the Tetrapod Project. The project's goal? To combine hundreds and thousands of phenomena into one skill that will target the entire world. A skill to extinguish mana worldwide. If they were actually able to pull that off, it would solve one of the world's greatest problems. But to accomplish the goal of their project, they need hundreds of staff and staffers at the very least. The project needs materials, and phenomena events most often manifest as staffers. They need to be able to freely experiment on them, and dispose of them when the experiments go wrong. But even though this is the Bureau we're talking about, they couldn't just grab staffers ranked S9 and lower. Plus, the terrorists caught by operations and the staff disposed by materials just wasn't cutting it. To expedite the project, they need more supply. To increase that supply, they established the Mana Affairs Division of the London branch. The criminals we have been catching have been used as free supply materials of the Bureau's project. Why go through all this? Because they feel they have to hurry for the sake of this world. They think it could end at any moment. They call it the threat level Noah, and it exists. Noah? A phenomenon so great it would wash over the world like a great flood, so they named it Noah. Thus, they wish to build their seawall as quickly as possible to stop that wave. Well then, for the very beginning, our world. John? Thank you, Pandoria. I feel a lot better knowing. Of course, he's unshaken. I finally know what the feeling I got when I'm around you is. It's not yearning, it's jealousy. That's why I feel all this hate for you burning inside, for leading me straight to this truth. I detest you. You'll take this case and strive to be better for it. I'm not sure about me though. I'm not sure if I can keep helping you. Redfins gently opened the door. What are you doing over there? You know, he's just hanging around. Man. No. You're different. What happened? Now, show me. Pandy, Johnny? No, what on earth? Oh man. Sarge, what is it? What did you see? Nothing. I see nothing. Nothing. Where am I? Oh man. Pandy, you're awake! Cena, where's John? He's not there anymore. They took him to the morgue. Brian's with him, so don't you worry. Right, John is... They ruled it suicide. As punishment for causing so much commotion in the Bureau, the security clearance of our division has been downgraded. What have I done? However, here. I'm too much of a dummy, so I thought you should take a look at this instead. Case files. What's this, though? How did this happen? Come in. Oh, back on your feet. That's a relief. We can't have you missing the funeral. What did you do? Well then, I guess you're not here to pay your respects concerning what happened to my little brother. Why are your prints on the rope John was hanging from? I think you've got the wrong idea. I'm sure I told you both, Thena and Brian. That rope was originally mine. Of course you're going to say that, but according to the documents I have... Is there a time limit to this? You did say in your statement that you lent the rope to John. What? So you knew this whole time? However, Thena detected an abnormal heartbeat during your testimony. An abnormal heartbeat? Ah, I see. That girl, Thena. She did say she figured out a new trick. I forgot about that. Have I crossed over to the criminal side now? What are you talking about? What do you think I'm talking about? Isn't that the reason you came? It was me. I killed John. Why? Because he tried to dig too deep. You've been at the Bureau long enough that I shouldn't have to explain it to you. John made his choice. He wanted to know everything, even if it killed him. So I had a choice to make too. At least with killing him, it prevented the truth from getting out. After all, it's the world's last chance for survival. And in my family, we respect each other's choices. My God, what are you even saying? Go shout it from the mountaintops if that's what you want. After all, it isn't my sin alone. Nothing will change. It'll only be your neck on the chopping block. I won't have any more business on the ground floor regardless. Yours will probably be the last face I ever see up here. Enjoy your stay, but I would recommend keeping your mouth shut as best as you can. I see. That's why. What's going on? Why am I just standing here? Where am I supposed to go? John's gone now. There's no one left to use me. No one to lead me around on my leash. So now, is it time for me to make the choices? That's what it means to be a sergeant. I understand it now. The reason why you were laughing. If you can't laugh it off like it's nothing, this world's become too painful to live in. So even now I can't stop laughing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've always lived that way. Every time the world let me down, I could always just laugh instead of cry. It's clear to me now. I never wanted this moment to come. That's the truth of what happened 2 years ago. Are you insane, woman? Even if you did know about the project, why would you talk about it here? Do you want there to be a mass suicide? My apologies, but we heard about the Noahs yesterday from the cabinet secretary himself. Notes finding out about that project just changes the number of reasons to kill us from 1 to 2. But what's this mean for you? Documents from a case you pleaded guilty to 2 years ago turn up in the late chief's secret stash. So again, what do you think this means for you? It's just as you say. My reason for resorting to killing went from 1 to 2. You couldn't have... No. How could you? So what if I did kill the chief? So what if I ended his life to shut his big fat mouth? The 1 hour I promised to use up. This is me we're talking about though. A person from the underground. No matter how much you wriggle and writhe, you'll see no punishment for me. That's the case for now. However, is that really it? Pardon? Note, where's this coming from? Where's this coming from now? It looks like you're in one of your solving moods. It's just strange is all. for both the case 2 years ago and the one right now. If nothing bad comes from fessing up to the murders, why go through all the trouble to hide them? There's no noble blood in my veins. Of course I have to hide my shady dealings. What's with this anyway? On my side all of a sudden? Don't tell me, are you going to say that all this wasn't my doing? No. You definitely fabricated the suicide 2 years ago. But you weren't acting alone. You had an accomplice. Didn't you? Note, what are you saying? The documents from the case 2 years ago that the chief hid away clearly point to Bernard Medan for this. But that's not the end of it. Within these documents, an odd contradiction is hiding. "2 years ago, you gave the statement right here. You said that the rope Detective John Medan hung himself with was yours. Did I? Yeah, but during that part, an abnormal heartbeat was detected. Ah, yeah. I found a new rope to do the deed with. Is that so? If that were the case, why were your prints left on that rope 1 month before? Well, I couldn't tell you why for sure. Note, it's not that I don't find it strange as well, but that contradiction means little in and of itself. Right, it means nothing at all. It also has no bearing on the charges being leveled at Chief Medan. But why the contradiction? To put it in other words, it seems like there was an error in the document. An error? That's right. It's either the trace photo or the witness statement. One of them's got to be wrong. In fact, the error was probably part of the fabrication. A fabrication so good, only the detective could write out the document. Who wrote out the document would be able to tell. I think the falsified part must be this one right here. Yes, I'm so confident that I'm saving every few minutes. That was actually it. I hope so. The abnormal heartbeat detected here. That must be the error. Isn't that right, Detective Sina? Sina? The sergeant was just coming to after the shock, and it was Detective Sina who gave her the document. Something about what she said. It makes it seem like there's more behind this story. The abnormal heartbeat here looks different from the one Detective Sina usually notes down, huh? The day's finally come. Just can't pull the wool over Note's eyes, can I? Wait, what? I don't get it. Sina, what did you do? What are you all talking about? Messing up a document like that can only mean... That's right. Medan's statement was no lie. In the end, no one could simply murder Detective John. Sina? Sorry. I truly am sorry. If I didn't do it, Pandy, you would have thought you killed him yourself. Chief Bernard Medan. With Detective Thena's help, you fessed up to setting up the murder 2 years ago, right? You fessed up, but you still left yourself enough room so you could wiggle out if need be. After all, you only admitted you did it to the sergeant. Even now, we're only pointing out the possibility you did it, and you're just playing along with being the culprit. Just like 2 years ago, to hide the truth. You've ruined everything, and it was going so well. You're all just like my damned brother. I was instructed by the Bureau not to punish the lot of you. All we had to do was disband the division. Then no more punishment would be needed. Then you say you've got to investigate, digging to the past, and here I am pulling out my hair, thinking I'm going to kill myself trying to get in your way. Do you know how shameful it was doing all this to protect a culprit I didn't even know the identity of? But that's only if one of us is the culprit. If we're all innocent, you won't have to do that. I wish that were the case. Huh? Anyway, Redfins, cut the shit. Seriously, stop with the nonsense. You think I'm going to believe anything you say? I'm sorry. I thought I could paint myself as the ill-fated protagonist, shouldering the burden, and I thought I was satisfied with that. You caught me the one time, so I didn't think we'd be pulling into this again. I was so tired of it. Redfins, John really did kill himself. Seriously, cut the... Pandy, don't touch me. Right, we just need more evidence. I'll just have to investigate the crime scene once more. Note, I'll leave this to you. Keep your spork flipped. Sergeant, it must be painful to know you were believing a falsified truth for 2 whole years. But for her... Sergeant, you're carrying out an investigation based on emotions alone. Aren't we supposed to be tools? Note, that was something John told me. I was just following his lead. Clearly, I'm not who you think I am. And the person I met on that balcony 2 years ago, was that not you either? Can't you just let me win a single time? Oh my gosh, no. It really is different. It has more sadness. It's kind of subtle, though. Sergeant? Note, even if I'm not around, you keep asking questions. And that's how things stand. And he's always so quick to act. I wouldn't have seen him again anyway since I was headed underground. Couldn't even respect his older brother enough to. I'm sorry. As his colleague, I should have suspected sooner. He hid where his head was at from me too. If you had figured it out first, that would have just been sad. But seriously, even yesterday it seemed like nothing was the matter. Yesterday? Redfins read my memory. According to Brian, she was with John, so it was probably he who put her up to it. he discovered the secrets locked away in my memory. But he couldn't handle the truth, and here we are. It's not the rarest of reactions. Then, Pandy, no matter how you look at it, she was the one who pulled his trigger. At least that's how she'll see it. Pandy? I mean, that's the problem, but more importantly is her safety. Is Pandy in danger? A lot of the documents I've been exposed to recently are top secret underground files. If the boss were to suspect, and if he were to find out about Redfin's, he can't. If that happens, and I lose Pandy too... Calm down. I know what you're scared of. Thankfully, the situation isn't that bad yet. After all, Redfin's couldn't read John's memory. If you had helped me out, we can ensure Redfin's safety and relieve her of the burden of her guilt. Will you help? Sure. I'll just head back to operations for a while. Good. Then we'll make me the culprit. What? You just took my statement, right? Just manipulate part of it. Make it look like I lied to hide my crime. After that, show it to Redfin's once she regains consciousness. Redfin's won't be in the best state of mind, so she won't suspect the document, and she'll immediately suspect me as the culprit. She won't hold herself responsible for John's death, and she won't have any reason to spread the information she took from my mind. I'll head down to the underground and stay there. I'll report to my superiors that John had been taken care of because he stole classified documents. It's perfect. Why are you doing all this? For Pandy? I talked to John 2 days ago. He said you are like family to him. He said that right in front of me. His actual family. I still wonder what he meant by that, but there's no way for me to figure that out now. It's just, I wanted to be included in that group, as that dummy's actual family member. I'll sacrifice my own life for the people he cherished. At least, that's what I want to think. Pandy, you would never want me to do this, but your suggestion is enticing. Only because I want to protect her. So, I'll play the criminal, and I'll play the traitor. As always, I'm simply the worst colleague. Sorry, Mesdames. I guess I was the worst colleague for you two. You never did follow my orders. That's nothing new. Mesdames, why John kill himself? Ever since he was an officer in operations, John had this compulsion to help people. During his time in operations, he was forced to bring harm to people, so it was probably defiance of his position that led him to be like this. He probably couldn't stand the paradox of it all. That's when he began his work to save as many lives as he could. That's actually why I sent him to this budding division in investigations. By that you mean the Manor Affairs Division? That's right. There, he was able to get along with you lot and help people, so it seemed to calm his mental illness. However, that's also when he began to sense there was something odd in the way the criminals were treated, and he relapsed into his old ways. Then when he found out about the projects and the Noahs, damn him, he just couldn't leave it alone. However, it's simply not something one man can have an effect on. After all, it deals with the absurdity this world is built upon. He couldn't handle it. That's why he gave up. I never thought him capable of it. I just realized he's like mentally unstable. That's why he went to see the psychiatrist. Huh. Then that means you knew your brother was suffering from a mental illness? Thus the doctor's note. Yeah, that's what I just told you. Then, what's going on? If that's true, what on earth is this? Okay, got it. Then what about this doctor's note? A doctor's note? This was in the folder with the documents about the case 2 years ago. It was from the psyche clinic. Apparently John went to see a psychiatrist. This is the record of his visit. I've been thinking about this for a while, but take a look at the middle part. Says there's nothing wrong with him. Is that something the chief had? Something from his secret stash? How's that possible? Didn't you say John had a mental illness? He did, and I checked it out myself, but this isn't John Medan's medical record. Then whose is it? There's only one person it could be. Only one person involved with the case 2 years ago with any sort of mental problem. And that person's name. I'm sorry. My mouth won't open. Why was this doctor's note kept there? Note? You froze. Does that mean nothing came to mind? No, I've got the person, but let's calm down. We don't know all the facts yet. We're still in the middle of an investigation. It's not time to worry about the future that's still up in the air. The sergeant. She received that shock 2 years ago and hasn't been able to touch people since, right? That's true, but note. Why exactly are you bringing up the Sarge now? There's no one else here who might have had a mental disease. Even if they did, it wouldn't be held against them as a sign of weakness. Note? But the sergeant being unable to touch people, that could be considered a mental disease, right? Note, are you serious? When it comes to investigations, I'm always serious. You know that. I don't want to say it either, but I can't help but entertain the possibility. After all, that's how the sergeant taught me. Note, there was something John told me. I was just following his lead. There's a possibility that the sergeant may have lied about having a mental illness. She may actually be trying to touch people. And also, she may have been threatened by the chief because of that. Note? Do you know what you're implying? I do. I'm well aware. But if the Sarge really did lie about touching people, what does this mean for us? If we look at the big picture, we can find two reasons for it. Oh, okay. The sergeant's skill allows her to read the memories of anything she comes in contact with. Also, when she touches a person, she's able to see through the eyes of the person to gain their visual memories. And, until today, she was quite adamant that she couldn't see visuals. She said it was because she couldn't touch another person's body. But what if she can? It'd be like before. She could look back at the crucial moments of a case, right? Yeah, perhaps. No! If that's her only goal in this, she wouldn't need this excuse about not touching people. She'd just have to pretend she wasn't good at using her skill anymore. She couldn't pretend with that alone. She had another reason. That reason has to do with you, Detective Stina. Huh? I should show her. Show her the reason why the detective can't touch people, and its relation to Detective Stina. I got one document that shows just that. Detective Stina, you were able to detect minute vibrations. With that skill, you're able to detect abnormal heartbeats. However, when you want to do that, you need to be touching the same thing. Notes? What are you? So Pandy was avoiding my skill? I wish I was wrong about this, but if there was no information refuting it, then there's no reason to dig any deeper. If she needed an excuse not to touch you, there's none better than claiming a mental illness. The departed chief of investigations was holding on to that doctor's note, and we have circumstantial evidence that he was threatening someone. Oh my god, he was threatening Redfin. In other words, you have a theory. You think Redfin is the one that killed the chief, don't you? I considered the possibility. Don't be ridiculous. The trolley already arrived at the station. Huh. I'm starting to sound like him. Listen carefully. If Redfin isn't your culprit, it isn't Stina or Brian. Huh? Ever since you lot left the underground, I had a man stationed at the entrance to investigations, instructed to track your movements. According to my man's report, you four were the only ones in that wing yesterday. That's why I was trying to block the truth from being revealed. John treasured these people. So I tried to make it look like I was the culprit, even though it wasn't the honorable thing to do. But you, what is your goal in all this exactly? Before, when I tried to interfere with the investigation, you didn't bat an eyelash, but now you're acting sheepish. Whose side are you on? Medan, you're going too far. No. Let's let him think. After all, time's almost up. Detective Stina. Well, let's put a pin on that for now. We're still lacking proof. You're right. There's a high possibility that Redfin was threatened, as you say. However, that doesn't mean she was the culprit. To return to our case, the culprit was able to enter the room by replicating the victim's footprints. But that's it. There were no footprints leaving the scene. It was Redfin herself that pointed that out. Also, as you know, hiding in that room is impossible for her because the sergeant, she left the building with me last night. It's clear, from the documents we've gathered thus far, it's impossible to put this crime on her. But it's as it always is. The truth I uncover only changed the world for the worse. But why is that? However, if one of the people we've investigated is our culprit, even though I know that, even with all the anxiety filling my body, it's quite possible that one of the documents has been altered or fabricated in some way. I'm not ready. I can't face my choices. If our culprit tricked us with this part, anyone could be the culprit. The dried flower. Yeah, the dried flower that creates a replica. We thought no one had used it. We thought that way because the sergeant recorded in her memory that it hadn't been used in a while. But if the sergeant made this part up, you mean if she's the culprit? Yeah, and if that's the case, this memory survey is a fabrication. If she made use of certain properties the dried flower carries, she could have carried the body into the room without leaving any footprints going out. The property that would allow her to do so was written right here. What? The fact that the replica disappears after 30 minutes. Using this, the culprits could have pulled it off. When our culprit went in for the first meeting with the chief, they secretly stole both the dried flower and the rubber ball that served as the murder weapon. Then at 8:30, the culprit returned to the crime scene. But it wasn't the real culprit. It was the replica created by the culprit with the help of the dried flower. It followed the orders the culprit gave, knocking on the door to lead the victim out of the room. And once the victim came out into the hallway, the victim took both the cloth out of the ball, vaporizing the victim's heart. Then the culprit grabbed the victim as he fell. The culprit lacked the strength to move the body, but that was no problem. The culprit just had to make 2 replicas. Then the 2 replicas moved the body back into the room. Since they were wearing the same shoes as the victim, which the culprit prepared beforehand, they were able to disguise their footprints to look like the victim's. After that, the 2 replicas went over to where the victim hung his clothes and waited until they disappeared. If the replicas were made about 20 minutes before, that would give him about 10 minutes to commit the crime before they disappeared. So after replacing the staff and heading to where the shoes were, the replicas disappeared. Then the only thing left in the room was the victim's footprints. Just with something unusual about the victim's stride. That's why the footprints were like that. Why is all this so plausible? To the very end, you refused to name your culprit. So what are you planning to do about Redfins? As I said before, bringing the investigation to a close changes nothing. But are the lot of you alright with that? Will you be able to treat Redfins the same way you always treated her? You can't postpone this any longer. It's time you made a choice, all of you. Damn. As for me, I choose to cover this up, because I wouldn't see the person John opened his heart to in prison. Wait, hold on. Because I wouldn't see the person John opened his heart to in prison. Considering the threats, her actions were justified too. The threats. But after everything, I think the choice is out of my hands. If you don't decide this yourselves, you probably have to live with the regret for the rest of your lives. Then in the end, it was her. Pandy. No, isn't there anything else? Pandy couldn't have done that. Thena. Isn't that right? This isn't the end. Just like always, just one more thing, right? Thena, you've got to stop. Then all that's left now is... Note? The threats. The chief threatened Sergeant Redfins. All because the sergeants pretended to have a mental illness. How could that be turned into a threat? Why was that doctor's note in the folder with the case files from 2 years ago? Plus, what reason did the sergeants have for hiding the fact that she could use her skill on people 2 years ago? Blah, 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 blah. What was she thinking back then? What path did she choose to walk down? If in the very beginning she was able to read into people's pasts, in all the cases thus far... Note, what are you doing? That's where we gather all the cases we solved. The murder at Trump Tower on October 20th. This audio is creepy as fuck. I'm straight up on it. It's so fucking creepy. I'm gonna turn on the lights. Wow. But this beat is bumping. Damn. The murder at Woods on November 25th. The event at the Miller residence on December 10th. And then yesterday's murder on December 24th. In each of these cases, the sergeant, she always... What did she do? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Note. What are your thoughts? Are your thoughts still a mess? No, that face. He's already reached a conclusion. Sergeant, are you listening? I figured it out. Sergeant, I know what you wanted. I see. Finally, you're seeing the real me. Pandy? Thena, I'm sorry about everything from before, and thank you. I wanted to thank you for 2 years now. Huh? Bernard, I made you carry a heavy burden. My apologies for that. You can't. John always talked about you. You too, Brian. Thank you. It was nothing, Yes, I'm including that too. I just want to say thanks. Note, come with me. You don't have much time, so I'll talk while you walk. Is that okay? Yeah. But that's not the way to the crime scene. She's not at the crime scene. Pardon? I'll be back. Our conversation will continue by spork. If you want to hear, just keep your sporks upside down. Those who don't wish to hear can cover their ears. Neither choice is the wrong one. What's going to happen? One way or another. It seems that no one here truly knows the real Redfins. And that's my fault? Because 2 years ago I lied to Pandy? I knew. Huh? There was no way not to. When Maidan said all that, I could see it on your faces. The part about changing his statement, I figured it out later. This whole time I knew, but I said nothing. And that's not it. This whole time, every minute of it, I've been deceiving you. I am curious about one thing. Why did you order me to investigate this case? If I hadn't ordered you to do it, would you have sat there quietly and done nothing? Of course not. I knew it was going to be like this, so I made it look like I was actively taking part in the investigation. Okay, the scary audio is over. I can switch off the lights now. Yes, very high tech, I know. Because of that, you were able to fool the memory survey to hide the truth. Just as you've been doing this whole time. Sergeant, you've been able to touch people. Because of that, you've been able to see the images captured by the victims by touching their bodies. That changes everything. Not just with this case, but with the previous cases, and the meaning of everything we've gone through. Right. Tell me what you're thinking. The case at Trump Tower from the first day I arrived. The one where the clown, Geller, killed the ringleader. There was one clue I didn't understand. The blood on the ceiling. That was the only clue not left by Geller's crime. Maybe it was a trap, a lure she constructed to interfere with our investigation. The victim had his propulsion skill. Thus, if the victim had actually used his skill to kill himself, it would have left that mark on the ceiling. And if the mark had been ruled a suicide, all the members of Trump Tower would have been cleared of the charges. That was what Geller wanted, so she prepared her trap. But her trap was missing one thing. The victim's bureau file. We didn't have it, so we couldn't have known his skill. It would have been impossible to rule it a suicide. but it just so happened that you went to the gambling hall and got your hands on his file. I'm sure you knew that the clue you were holding had nothing to do with the facts of the crime. After all, you knew Geller did it with a single touch. You knew, but you didn't tell us a thing. You left the scene of the crime to get his bureau file. And then when the investigation hit rough waters, you reminded me the victim was a staffer. In the end, you were leading me to the conclusion that the victim committed suicide. It's not that I wanted you to ignore Geller's sins, it's just I wanted it to be the police, not us who brought her in. I didn't think her evil enough to be forced to take part in the project. I saw everything the victim did to Geller. His blows were only one small part of the abuse. Yet when Geller killed the victim, she was crying. Next, we went to Woods, the facility that handled creatures. The culprit was Kendrick Hawes. He used the other suspects like chess pieces to kill his own boss. But Woods held one more secret, one unrelated to the truth of the case. The inhuman creature research being carried out in the underground lab. It was Beck, the vice president who was in charge of them. You accidentally came into contact with Beck. That's when you found out about the facility. Those atrocities came so much of a shock to you that you hit Mr. Beck 2 times. Sergeant, you were afraid of what might happen if those secrets were to be revealed to the outside world. So when Detective Cena suggested we continue investigating, you tried to cut her off and end the investigation. In the end, you saw what effects leaking that information had. That was information that shouldn't have gone out like that. You figured we could always arrest Hawes later on. Next was the accident, really, at the Miller residence. It was a tragedy caused by the victim's own foolish behavior and the lack of communication between husband and wife. I'm not sure when it was that you touched Mrs. Miller, but you had plenty of time to do so. Brian and I arrived at the scene late, and Detective Cena was investigating the second crime scene. You knew the pain the truth of the case would bring to Mrs. Miller, so you tried to hand the case off to materials. Then during the investigation, Zad Fring ran off due to my mistake. The only thing you were doing there was trying to get me to give you an answer. But Brian and I continued our investigation. When we finally uncovered the truth, you tried to convince Brian and I to conceal the truth from Mrs. Miller. I'm not sure if I read that right. Oops. I still think not telling her was the right answer. However, Brian knew the truth as well, and he made his choice. I merely decided to respect his decision. It's dangerous to think I'm the only one with the right answers. Then, the case yesterday. The murder with the Oppenheimers in the underground. With that one, it was hard to find the truth. Even with your ability to read memories from corpses, it was also quite difficult for you to naturally graze against the suspects. But yesterday, you made your clearest move. When I was revealing the truth about Doug, you tried to deceive us by saying there was a memory on the memo left at the crime scene when the memory didn't exist, all in the effort to cover up the truth. Did I really want to save Doug? I'm still not sure, but considering how much you know about the Noahs, I had to do everything in my power to stop you. Yeah, that was what was best for me. That's it. That's your secret. You find out the truth before everyone else, and if that truth turns out to be dangerous, you change it, you alter it, until it's the ideal truth for you. For 2 years, Sergeant. Ever since that fateful day, you've been carrying on just like this, haven't you? It's just like 2 years ago, when Detective Sina hid the truth about the suicide for your sake. That's right. Just like Brian always knew the truth and said nothing. Just like the people most precious for me, just like the people most precious to me did for me. However, I knew everything. That day of all days, it was impossible for me to see nothing. I saw it all. I saw him tie the noose around his own neck, and I saw how he swung back and forth like a pendulum. Damn. But because of this right light on my arm that won't ever come off, I couldn't continue on as if I knew nothing. But that was when I realized there was something I could do. After all that pain I lived through, I was going to keep it away from others. Note, it was good to hear all your stories. When I heard the stories of the suffering your wounds brought you, I felt like I wasn't alone in this world. Finally, we come to stand face to face. Now the image is not moving up and down anymore. It's like he's just, I'm starting to get scared. Is the person behind the door really the person I knew her to be? What's wrong, Notes? You can start things off. Sergeant, aren't we detectives? Yes, we're detectives. But our job isn't about changing the world. The world doesn't change just because one person in this immense city feels despair. And even if we cling on to what hope we have to keep living, the world stays the same as it's always been. Note, I'm not trying to do something as grandiose as change the world. I'm only trying to help the people I can, those within my circle of influence. But that's not our job. You're right, but it's something only we can do. As the people who first finds the truth and tell of it, we can help people, even if the people don't want our help. The moment they want help is the moment they find out the truth, but then we can't help them. We can't do anything to hold back the pain. We find out the truth, judge it, move on. That's the best we can do. Sergeant, that does help. But murdering the chief, was that to help people too? It was. Once you learn the truth, you'll understand. Is there a single person in this world who deserves death? That's an interesting topic, but nothing we should be fretting about now. There's not a single person in this world who can truly hide a murder. That's the only important topic for the likes of us. But for now, just trust me and wait a second. When the time is right, I promise I'll tell you. Trust, affection, emotion, those turn logic itself illogical. The thought of losing one relationship is enough to send you down a path of no return. This is just a theory of mine. You can't mix people and reason. Filter all those out? Filter all those out. After all that, only logic should remain. Trust me, Note. You don't always have to focus on the truth. We're detectives, after all. The only thing we believe in is verified truth. Thus, the only thing I can truly say for certain is that the victim lived an additional 4 days. You will have to live with that truth too. Could you stop talking, please? Sergeant, I just have one more question to ask. Have we ever truly met? We met last night, right here. That was me. That time alone, that was me. I can't believe you. We're detectives. Aren't detectives supposed to find the truth? Indeed, and you found out the truth. Now to find the truth that lies beyond what you see, that's all I did. And in the end, John died. Note, you've dug up more in your past 2 months here than anyone else in this city ever has. But all the truth you found, what did it bring? Note, you already know the answer. The truth is not necessarily noble or beneficial to anyone. The truth isn't always right. Some truths can hurt people. I idolized John because he was actually a weak person like me. Thus his death. That's right. For us especially, many of the truths we seek are dangerous. That's why we find them out, and we have a choice to make. A choice. I'm not saying you shouldn't uncover the truth. I'm talking about the choice that exists on the other side of that truth. I want to become a person who handles the truths that are revealed in the correct way. In that way, the pain I felt, the pain we felt, doesn't have to be felt by anyone, by everyone. If the sergeant I know is who I think she is, she's more kind and caring than anyone I know, always looking out for those around her. And she's clever. I'm sure this isn't just trauma that caused her to act like this. She probably thought about this again and again before reaching her current conclusion. In fact, the advice she threw out to those involved in the cases, even though it was based in lies, definitely would have saved those people. Compared to that, all I did was... Note, you can choose a different path. You may think these different painful truths to be necessary in this world. If you choose that path, then clearly it's gonna make things better. Because you're better than everyone, you may be able to change something I gave up on. However, I want you to walk together with me. You're the one who knows my pain. I want you to know. I want you to stay by my side. Note, take my hand. Man, what am I supposed to do? Oh man. What do I do? Which one? Which one do I do? Okay, let me just think about it for a while. Okay, it doesn't look like there's a different ending. Okay. Yes, I did research. Shut up. I don't care. I need to know. If I take her hand, I'll be walking down the same path she's on. From that moment on, my life will change. Or will it? I honestly don't know. It feels like the world around me is speaking to me. It's telling me the time to choose is here. It's telling me this choice will determine the path of my life. My life will follow into the future. However, if an instant's choice really determines all that, does that mean everything I've done up to now means nothing? I've changed since coming to the city. I'm certain of that much. I lost my ideals, and I found a goal. I lost justice, and I found people. I lost trust, and I found devotion. I lost faith, and I found hope. Every moment brought about a change in me. Sergeant, if I take your hand, will that change for me? If you don't let go, will we not change? Maybe, but I think not. Note, Sergeant, I took your hand yesterday, but that wasn't some huge choice. It was just because I wanted to know more about you. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's the same as Trump Tower and the same at Woods, at the Miller residence, and yesterday when we visited the underground. I never made a single choice. I found the truths that were hiding in each place. Each and every time, I simply found a truth lying beyond everything. I'm sorry, asking me to join you as you reach your hand through the fog. Even now, I only see you in the fog. But past the fog, I think there exists something I sincerely wish for. Note, we've already seen through that fog. We know that the only thing at the end is regret. Yeah, you're right. So now, I want to see past those regrets. Why? Why try to go that far? Just take my hand and live for people. Together. Now, that's enough. But there's a contradiction. Even though I know it'll only cause more suffering, even though I know I'll regret it, still, I want to know more about you. If there's something unclear, I want to find the answer, because I'm a detective. Sergeant, are you any different? Why must you keep trying to move forward? I watched Meet the Robinsons 10 times. Why would I not? Out of all the truths I uncovered thus far, I can't point to a single good one. That's how it is now. But people change as they move forward. I know nothing about this place and the people here, yet I became a person who could stand by your side. I became a person that Detective Dina and Brian could rely on. I don't think the cases we solved are the end of the story. I'm sure there will exist something beyond that. Yeah, it's called a sequel. And I want to keep moving forward to find out what that is. Also, even if I lose you now, I'll be able to find you one day. Then you knew. It's because before, when we were talking on the sporks, I knew you were hiding behind the fog so I couldn't see your face. You used the dried flower, didn't you? I'm sorry. I wanted to meet you up here myself. But I already knew how things would turn out. After all, you never let me win. Sorry. No, I'm the only person who should be apologizing. I'm sorry I showed you nothing but lies to the very end, but I didn't want to get caught. The fog turned out to be too thin and I burned through all the cigarettes I had. Seriously, it was a dumb precaution to take. When it comes to hiding feelings, no one's got more confidence than me. Honestly, it's not even funny. Sergeant. We're not right for each other in the slightest. I know you wanted to hide your face, but what I'm seeing now is what I've been wandering around in search of. That's why I wanted to hide it even more. I knew you'd come looking for me. If you said you'll come looking, I figure I'll want to let you find me. But I don't want to have to rely on anyone else again. If I try to rely on you, you might leave me too, so you have to run away from me. Because I'll always be one step quicker and I'll catch up with you, Sergeant. The day will come when I catch you, and I hope you'll be there waiting. Right. You do that. It's always that way. You choose the paths I don't want to follow down. Always, always. Note: open the sewer drain under your foot. This is the music box. Of course you had it the whole time. Inside, I placed the truth I needed to hide the most. Whenever you're ready, you can open it. What do you think? It's recording now. Sounds handy. I can think of a number of uses depending on the situation. Yeah, you're right. It took me a long time to figure out how it works, though. Indeed. Certainly sounds like it would. Your reaction feels a bit lackluster. Indeed it has. Apologies. Well, that's understandable. Sergeant Redfins, you've been a great help through the years. One day the lot of you should stop listening to me, though. It actually turned out to be quite helpful for me to get my messages across. Indeed. I'm sure life will get easier for you, but you don't have me lurking around. There'll be no one like me ordering you about, but you won't be able to do whatever you please like before. You never know. I'll miss that cheeky attitude of yours too. However, I do have one final request. Ask away. It's about Detective Case. You won't need him anymore. We succeeded as getting in getting him noticed by the cabinet secretary. Now it's time for them to trim their losses. But Notrick has become an integral part of our division. It's not a question of how useful he is to you lot. It's that I got no more use for Detective Case. Thanks to him, I got my promotion. Case is now only a threat. That lad's so curious. He would give John Medan a run for his money. If I left him where he was, he'd probably catch me by one or two of my tails. I am finally able to breathe, so I can't let that ankle biter be sniffing me out now. Speaking of which, do you have any good strategy moving forward? A good strategy? What do you mean? I mean, are you going to scare the lad off? That's one method. Or were you going to take a more heavy-handed approach? Tomorrow will be goodbye to the ground level for me. Not in my nature to be leaving behind possible threats. Though some methods may be a bit too extreme. Do you have to? Roderick had always attracted the attention of the cabinet secretary. Do we have to go that far? If you can't think of a good way, I'll just do it how I was planning tomorrow. What do you think? If your results are good enough, I might have to return the favor. I can think of one good way. As expected from Sergeant Redfins, the ace up my sleeve. If you tie all this up in a pretty ribbon, I'll get rid of all the files I got stashed away. But I need to do a test run. Would it be alright if I borrowed a few pieces of the stuff you have here? My stuff? I just need 2. Actually, this music box too. My test run will take an hour, and I'll give them right back. Alright, what's an hour? They're nothing but a nuisance to have around without being used. Well then, I'll be back at 8:30. Would you mind telling me your shoe size? I was thinking of getting you a farewell present. Sensible to the very end. 9.5. It's time to say goodbye, and I'm actually quite sad to be going. Now it's truly farewell. Sergeant, the reason you killed the chief was because of me. Sergeant, why? Why would you hide this from me? If I had known, I could have... Fine, note. For now, I can go no further. So, if the day comes for you to catch me, on that day, reach your hand out to me. We found you! Note, are you okay? Sarge, where'd she go? Detective Brian, Detective Thena, you were listening in. We were. Then the Sarge you met here, from the very beginning she was talking through the sporks. The one up here was a replica made by the dried flower. Then it was all a pack of lies. Everything I saw, everything I heard, everything I touched, it was all a fabrication. However, I think she left behind a little truth. You mean the conversation recorded on the music box? The fact that what the Sarge did was to save you? Right. Though she wanted to hide it from me. The sergeant I trusted was contained in here. You think so? This is, at the very least, I won't let go of, no matter what happens. Note, you're, no matter what happens, never. Right, it certainly seems that way. Of course. Because you, more than anyone, are a detective. So get your things out of here. No, you can't really be disbanding our unit, can you? Wasn't the mood last night so nice at the end? Doesn't that call for the cancellation of this disbanding business? Such things aren't decided by mood. You found out the truth, but the culprit was the head of your division. Then your sergeant took flight and is now missing. If you think about it, things are worse now than ever before. You got me there. If we come to an understanding, clear out quickly. From today, this office is to be the headquarters of the Bureau's football club. I'm sorry, what now? Why a football club? This is so disgraceful. It's like saying we're less productive than a football team. Don't discount a football team like that. We're really giving it our all out there. Oh, you're part of it. Okay. I remember too? Drats, what are Notes and Brian up to at a time like this? Well, surprisingly, they might actually be doing something of importance. Is this the right way? Seems to be getting darker. Don't worry. This is just a corridor few people use. That explanation has me more worried. No, why would you please tell me where we're going to meet? Who we're gonna meet? Who's this person who called for me? I can tell you, but first and foremost, apologies are in order. I'm sorry, what? Note, a certain topic of importance was brought up a number of times yesterday. Would you happen to remember the top secret project? Project Tetrapod? Of course, you must be part of that project, huh? Indeed, actually, wait, you knew? It's just that there's been a lot of weight to your words these days, so when I saw that folder yesterday, I had a thought. How did you simply have a thought in all that chaos? I mean, it's you, so I knew you'd figured it out on your own one day. 2 years ago, Medan, chief of operations back then, recommended me for the project. I guess keeping your word when someone asks a favor helps with keeping secrets. The purpose of the project was to completely eliminate all mana. If the project were to succeed, it would eliminate the need of the Bureau and its control over phenomena. There are quite a number of employees within the Bureau who wouldn't find that idea pleasing. Thus, the idea was kept confidential even from within the Bureau. But are you okay with it? According to the sergeants yesterday, the project treats criminals in rather inhumane ways. Right. That's actually the reason why I participate in the project. With me directly involved with the project, I can participate in the experiments that may cross the line. I see. And why are you telling me this all of a sudden? That's because you're not completely unrelated to the project. Cabinet Secretary. Are you the person who wanted to see me? He looks like... Yeah, okay. He looks very concerned. Yeah, that's right. I guess you weren't expecting me. What does he mean? I'm not completely unrelated? Caucasus Brian, explain. Pardon me, right. If he was just gonna have Detective Brian explain, why is he here? Note, the purpose of Tetrapod Project is to combine various skills, forming one singular powerful skill. We want to create one new skill with the power to wipe mana from the world. Acquiring the supply of staffers and staff to use as materials for the project is hard enough, but putting together all those skills and mapping out how they fit together is the hardest task. All it would take is a single misstep to cause a huge incident. That's why the Cabinet Secretary needed a special person to be in charge of creating the blueprints of what that skill may be like moving forward. Then the Chief of Investigations heard a noteworthy piece of news. In order to get noticed by the Cabinet Secretary, the Chief of Investigations have been scouting out the right person for the mapping role. That's when he happened to find someone. Not a staffer, but a superhuman in his own right due to his powers of logic and deduction. That's you, not your case. I have conditions. Note, were you not listening to my explanation? I heard you. You're saying you need my help with the project. Tell me. Pardon me? These conditions of yours. Tell me. I'm not really following the two of you. I have 3 conditions. Firstly, the first is like Detective Brian said before. I want to be involved in handling the treatment of the staffers you use as project subjects. Okay. The only one with higher authority than you will be me. Next. Good. That was fast. I really don't want to work with the man, but we might as well bounce around some ideas off of each other. Next is... I was going to ask a favor from Chief Medan for this one, but I guess this is better. What exactly? It's about the Bureau regulations regarding the staffer within the threat level Noah. Doug Touchstone. Doug's skill seems omnipotent at first glance, but his changes are limited to the creation of objects and entities. Based on the particular characteristics, I think it's possible to lower his threat to a controllable level. If you handle him how I've written out, he should be able to safely use his skill until he has it under control. If you're able to bring a Noah under your control, he may be a huge help to the project, don't you think? So you're asking me not to kill him? Note, when did you do all this? You're getting sloppy. Controlling information he's exposed to and replanning his daily pattern. These are methods already implemented. Even with all these, he still has a 0.1% chance of a Noah becoming a threat, so it's safer to eliminate him. However, I am quite interested in this part about using him in conjunction with another skill to suppress a skill's use. That could help us acquire a large amount of data for the project. I'll delay the elimination of the boy by 10 days. You got until then to write out a more detailed list of regulations for the subject. Okay. Quite splendid. As expected, Notes, you're far from ordinary. Then it's worth staying up 2 whole days to write that out. You can pat yourselves on the back later. Our conversation isn't finished. What's your last condition? About that. Is it something to do with Redfins? Don't arrest Redfins? The piano! Just let the piano stay. Why does the Office of Investigations have a piano with it anyway? Hurry up and get rid of it! If that thing's there, we have nowhere to practice our dribbling. Why are you so serious about football? And don't you practice outside? Note, what's going on in that head of yours? With my level of intelligence, I simply can't understand. In my opinion, I'm not quite sure either. Note! What are we going to do? They disbanded the division. About that. Just now I had a talk with the cabinet secretary and advised him to cancel the dissolution of the Manor Affairs division. Really? You're not lying? However, he rejected the proposal since it was already decided upon. Then you were lying, huh? But in its place, the cabinet secretary created a new division of investigations, directly under his supervision. We will all be transferring to the new Manor Affairs division in the investigations department. Transferring? I mean, it is just a formality. We're basically just doing the exact same thing as before. There's only one additional rule. We have to directly respond to the beck and call of the Tetrapod project. Tetrapod? I think I heard a bit about it from Brian yesterday, but are we really gonna be... So now you're officially a member of the Tetrapod project too, Detective Thena. You may be called down to the underground from time to time. Huh? I guess it can't be helped. We'll all be working together, though, right? That's right. All together. All of us. Whatever that means now. Everything turned out as expected. Of course, the alternative is far more realistic than taking case alone. Indeed. Things are how they are. We'll be looking forward to working with you, Chief. I'm sorry, what now? No, you can't be serious. Why are you so surprised? I assigned you to the title of Chief of Investigations only yesterday. I thought all that would go away because of everything that happened yesterday. As long as Case is the architect behind the project, we're gonna need people watching him. You got to stay on your toes and act swiftly. Indeed, things happen fast around here. Stop complaining. Damn it all. I get to call you Chief again, or shall we use this as my chance to call you Bernie? I said I'd kill you myself. I'll be counting on you, Chief. And on a personal note, I prefer you over our last chief. I'm losing it. So, who's going to be the new sergeant of the division? Of course, there should be Note! There really is no other choice. Huh? I mean, I've only got 2 months on the job, no? Still, you're the only one I can think of for the position. After all, you created the division. What of it? Don't think of this as a heavy burden. We've only got the 3 of us. The 3 of us. Right, she's gone now. Your title, Sergeant. It still holds such a different feeling for me. I have no intent of carrying on what she was doing, but I told her I'd keep moving forward. I'll do it. I'll take on the role of Sergeant. Go get him, Note. Because it's you, I'm sure you'll do great, Note. Alright, I'm still inexperienced, but I'll lead the investigations team from now. I guess I've already been leading the investigations up to this point, though, I guess? I guess very little has changed. Huh. If that's settled, let's get straight to work. From the look of it, we had quite a lot of work piled up. That's because we were detained the whole day yesterday. It's to be expected. Speaking of which, there was a case I was supposed to solve by this morning. I'm sorry, what now? By this morning, you mean 10 a.m.? We don't even have an hour left. Let's head out to the parking lot, everyone. Hey, John. In the end, I'm here too. Why didn't you hold out just a little longer? If you were still alive. One thing's for certain. As things stand, I'd like to be family too. After checking out the floor plan for the 4th floor in the London Bureau branch of the Bureau, one might notice a room that looks out of place. When one heads that direction, they might notice an iron gate that wasn't on the floor plan. A damp breeze slips through the door frame. My luck is good today. The fog covers the view. When the fog clears, the horrid view furrows my brow in a disappointed frown. I could see that the clock tower of my dreams was never there. But when that nondescript landscape is covered from sight, a multitude of people could be down there. Ow. On those days, most of what came through the thick puffs of cigarette smokes were lies. But even if it was just a tiny sliver, the truth I wished for remained. Just as it does so clearly, somewhere beyond the fog.
I see the music isn't exactly original. This is a very creative way of showing the patrons, huh? I don't understand what's on the papers though. Wow. That was really something else, huh? Oh yeah, before I move on, the music part, I saw the music section of the credits. It was just a bunch of YouTube links. Or a lot of them are. Which explains a lot because I actually got a copyright claim on one of my videos. I mean, I'm not earning anything. I have like less than 1,000 subs. Less than 100 subs. Less than 50 subs. Less than 40 subs. So, you know, I'm not earning from it. I'm not earning from my videos, so it's like, whatever. And I was like, why though? It just led me to this other YouTube video or song. So it's like, no original, huh? But, I mean, okay then. Anyway, music aside, you know. This is amazing. I must say it's quite amazing. Now, you know, I've been looking through the Steam achievements. It's like, what is this ideal ending? It's like, because it's like when I thought ideal ending is the canon ending, but after playing this case, now I know that the ideal ending is where you pin the blame on someone else or something like that. Basically, agree with Redfins and move on. So, you know, that explains the achievement. I might replay some stages just to see the fake ending. If I have the time to spare for that. I don't know, I don't feel like it now. In fact, the only thing I want to do right now is move on to the side story. You know, I'm not sure what that would be, but you know, yeah, that's what I plan to do. But holy hot damn, how can I do it after this? Honestly, Redfin's killing the chief was not something I saw coming, especially after we proved her like innocent, and then we were like, no, she couldn't have done it because blah blah blah. Like, okay, she did it. This is exactly what happened in case 1, by the way, where we were like, no, Geller couldn't have done it. look, to, yeah, she did it. So dumb, I swear. So, I guess Redfin's killed for notes? I'm not exactly clear 100% about that. Because the chief wanted to get rid of him because he's a threat to his position. I mean, skill issue, you know, whatever. But, you know, yeah, it was kind of subtle. I didn't even notice it at first. I mean, I did have a sneaking suspicion that Redfin could actually read the memories of people. It's like, no, that's a lie. She could. So it looks like I was right. She could. It's just kind of sad to... No, it's not kind of sad. It's very sad to see Redfin's go. How is the sequel gonna be good without you, Redfins? Actually, I think she might be in the sequel. Maybe. Maybe helping off the books, I don't know. Because the memory surveys were a huge part of the investigations. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off without that. I guess we'll see later on. Whenever that is. When is it coming out? When is the next game coming out? I need to know. I know there was a side game, a spin-off of Stafford Case. I mean, I'll play it whenever I feel like it. If it's still relevant, I don't know, man. It's... yeah, whatever. But I'm more interested in the sequel for this. But for now, I guess the what's it called? The side story first. But I do have to say that the themes of this story were mainly truth. The concept of truth. How it affects people. You know, what is truth? Truth is often seen as a good thing. People often strive for truth and stuff, but it hurts people. I mean, I get this. I get the theme. It's been done quite a lot, but and I must say the relationship between Redfins and Notes is not exactly built up enough. You know, like if you ask me, they should have had more one-on-one moments or moments between them to build up this relationship. I know they had like moments of admiration and stuff for each other, but it's not enough. They needed more events between them to happen, like personal events. But other than that, the story was great, okay? Themes handled well, and the little arcs of each character, Athena and Brian, were actually not handled so great, I guess. I mean, I still don't know much about Athena, but I do know what motivates her and stuff. Brian, I kind of know his backstory as well, and his motivations too. I guess his arc was done better than Athena's. Actually, okay, I take it back. They both had similar development. It's just that I don't remember Athena's one very great because case 2 versus case 3. Oh well. Anyway, I liked this game very much. I hope to see Redfins in the sequel. And I hope the next game isn't gonna be as sad as this, okay? It's just sad throughout, okay? I want more happy moments, please. Please. I want at least one happy ending. Please. Anyway, with that being said, I'll see you all for... I'm gonna play the side story later on, And then I guess that'll be it for Stafford Case. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching my playthrough of Stafford Case. And if you like what you see, stay tuned and stay awesome. Good night.